Thanks for joining us today here on America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates with Dylan Baker and Scott Kirshner. And myself, my name is Chris Spawn. Really appreciate you taking time to join us today. Here's the number, 419-794-3030. 419-794-3030. Online at americasretirementheadquarters.com. On today's show, we're going to talk all about magic number. That is the amount of money you need for a comfortable retirement. Before we jump into that, first, let me check with Dylan and Scott, but it's a different Scott. Dylan Baker, Scott Osborne. Glad to be with you guys. How are you today?
Doing great. It's good to be here. Good to kick off the new year and get things rocking and rolling. We have a good time with the kids before my oldest goes back to college, and then my youngest with some great hockey games here in Northwest Ohio. So fun times. How about you, Scott?
Good to see everybody. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Happy New Year indeed. Guys, I know this month, and honestly, every month the theme is on retirement income planning, especially this month at America's Retirement Headquarters. So not only is today's show going to be helpful in that, but how are some other ways before we jump into the show can people get plugged in with you guys?
Well, I think, one of the most important things for a lot of folks that are listening or people that come into the office is to really take time and learn about what our independent income system is. In fact, if you go on Google and you just type in independent income system, we put together a quick 12-minute overview that talks about kind of our unique approach. And, it's oftentimes when people come to our office and they'll see me draw this out on a whiteboard that they say, I really now fully understand what my retirement plan should look like and what my accounts would be designed to do. So take a look at that. Also, if you want to just get instant access to retirement income planning information and our video on the different threats and opportunities facing retirees today, just send us a text. You can text us right now to 419-909-3828. And if you didn't get that number, we'll give it out again here in a little bit. But then you can get a video and sessions on the retirement income plan. To get that number to text us is 419-909-3828. And also, I'd encourage you to register to attend Scott's upcoming class on retirement. It's going to be taught at the Bowling Green State University at Levitt Commons. And you've got two different dates. It's Wednesday, January 26th, followed by Wednesday, February 2nd. So this is a two-night class that you could attend. You could also attend on Thursday, February 3rd and February 10th. If you want to register, of course, you can reach out to the office or always register online at americasretirementheadquarters.com /events and check out the events that we have coming up. Because we got a lot of great things lined up for this year. So lots of great stuff going on, Chris.
Absolutely. It sounds like you guys are ready to hit the ground running, jumping in 22 feet first. A lot going on at America's Retirement Headquarters as we kick off the new year. But let's jump into this week's show. Despite the pandemic and the inflation that resulted, there's a survey that shows a lot of Americans, most Americans, actually confident about their financial future. 7 in 10 responded to a new Fidelity poll that said they're basing this on the fact that we're actually able to stick to their 2021 financial resolutions. So almost a percentage planning to make new ones for this year, for 2022. If America's Retirement Headquarters were to wish financial resolutions for others, what would be on that list?
I think when you look at what we've learned coming out of the pandemic more than anything else, you see a lot of people that are feeling much more optimistic about their financial future. I think we had the code crash scare, obviously, but when we look out into 2022, there's a lot of people that are in a better financial position than they were priorly, as long as they stuck to their investment plan, so to speak. I think a couple other things at the top of the list really have people that are focusing on become closer with their family, being more thoughtful about their saving and spending, and then trying to be more intentional in their plans for retirement.
Yeah, good point. And speaking of closer to the family, when the kids were asking, what I wanted for Christmas, I said, don't buy me anything. If anything, give me experiences, So I got actually coupon books for my kids. So take me out of the movies one night, take me bowling, play board games or, dad's pick, stuff like that. So there are some things that came out. It is nice to see that, people are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable when you look at the statistics about how they're optimistic about their financial future compared to where they were, just a few years ago. We did put a complete video, so in case anybody has missed that video in the past, what we did, we talked about a couple of these tips and tricks in our financial resolution show, which of course you can find on our YouTube channel. I guess to narrow it down, I gave our listeners 3 quick tips for resolutions this year. Number one is if you're feeling more financially sound right now, what I would encourage you to do is take some time right now and make sure that you're working on paying off debt and freeing up cash flow. We've had a lot of reviews lately with clients where, financially they're in a much better position. They're ahead of what their goals were. And so in some cases, we're using that extra gain that they had thanks to the markets in the last year to eliminate some of the debts, which will put them even in more financial confidence moving forward. So number two would be to stay away from taking on new debt. Autos and housing is very dangerous right now. I think everybody's aware that the housing market is booming again, and people that are offering way over asking price and way over fair values could come back to bite them in the future. We saw it happen in 2008, so don't get caught up into that trap. Looking at the statistics, automobile prices, new used vehicles up, in some cases 50%. I've heard of people driving their vehicle. I know my neighbors, they paid them money to give them their car back, after they've been driving it for a year or two. And so don't be that person that goes out and excess spends on an automobile. My Tahoe, I still love it, driving around a lot. It's got about 110,000 miles on it, but she's still got a lot of room to go and needed a little TLC, so I just took it in, spent money on getting some fix-ups done. But those are things to consider. Again, if you're confident, don't please go out and add a bunch more debt to your situation. Number three is make sure that you're working. If you are working, you have 6 months worth of living expenses saved up in an emergency account. And then for those of you that are close to or in retirement time, if you are drawing income, it's extremely important to have 3 years worth of income built up in what I would refer to as a plan B. That way, if when the stock market doesn't cooperate as much as it did, again, you'll be able to have some ways to kind of protect you. And, we've got, again, more great tips that we talk about throughout the independent income system. If you just Google that or shoot us a text at, again, 419-909-3828 for instant access to that video on retirement income planning. Or, again, I encourage you, if you haven't been out to a retirement planning workshop, I would encourage you to make sure you come out to Scott's event. Scott, any highlights on what you want to talk about when you're teaching the class coming up at BGSU?
Yeah, I think one of the key things, it's definitely a little bit different approach than what maybe most folks are used to in terms of just talking about investments. It's really a comprehensive approach to retirement planning. So, when you look at that, you have retirement income, taxes, managing risk, long-term care planning, Medicare planning, estate planning. There's a lot of complexity that gets introduced to somebody when they transition from their working years to their retired years. Mm-hmm. So basically, this class is just designed to give people some insights and strategies of problems that they need to solve that maybe they weren't aware of in their working years.
Again, because income is part of the equation when it comes to your retirement plan, but there is all these other things that go into effect: taxation, healthcare, all these other expenses. So to get you thinking more seriously about that, and provide a little insight, point you in the right direction on how you can get around that, go to americasretirementheadquarters.com/events for information about Scott's upcoming class. Again, americasretirementheadquarters.com/events, because we all want that financial confidence going into retirement. And speaking of, when you log into your financial accounts, what is that magic number that needs to be on the bottom of the page before you would feel comfortable about pulling the trigger and retiring? A quarter of Americans responding to a Max Money survey say $1 million do the trick. On the other hand, a quarter of baby boomer survey said there's actually no amount of money that will make them feel comfortable. So guys, obviously it's very person to person, but what are your thoughts on what it takes for someone to have that confidence of being able to retire?
I think it's somebody's ability to have confidence that they know they can adapt. So, obviously when we retire, we go through a big mindset shift where I'm living off of a paycheck to now I'm living off of my savings. Mm-hmm. So I think our default gut feeling is to feel like I'm playing a timing game. Where if we get a good plan, now we're managing investments, we're managing income, and if the market's going up or down, we know how to respond with our income plan appropriately. So I think that having a plan and knowing how we're going to respond before certain events happen gives us the confidence that we know we're not playing a timing game, we're actually following a plan. I think if you don't have that comprehensive plan, then you're just doing one of these with your thumb in the air and hoping that I don't outlive my money. That's not going to make anybody feel good, no matter how much money you have.
Yeah, pretty scary when you stop and think about it. In that survey that they did, a quarter of those surveyed between 54 and 73 believe there's no amount of money that they could sit on in their savings account and make them feel comfortable in retirement. So retirement is the time to enjoy life and relax and spend time with the grandkids, maybe volunteer, do the things that you wanted to do. But if you can't lay your head on your pillow at night and sleep confidently with the plan that you have in place, I think that is why it's so important to work with a professional, develop some tools and resources. Our approach on what we have done over the years to help kind of put this in place and be able to show people in an easy to understand process, again, is what is called our independent income system. So our independent income system is kind of the way to put it together. There's a couple of different ways too when you're talking about knowing your number. So a lot of the people, they said $1 million is the number that they need. In Northwest Ohio here in Toledo, if we look at things like still housing's fairly affordable. If we look at living expenses in Northwest Ohio, $1 million probably goes a long way. I'm going to be traveling coming up, going down to my office in Florida just to get a little warmth and check in down there for our Florida team. But I, have an office in Jupiter, Florida. And I would tell you, Jupiter, Florida, $1 million isn't going to go very far. In fact, good luck finding a house in Jupiter for $1 million. So having a certain number is good to try to get to that $1 million point. I think once you have $1 million and looking at the statistics, there's been a lot of people that finally reached that milestone. I know a lot of our clients have reached that milestone, and that's a good milestone to have. But you don't necessarily want to use that milestone to say that's the number they need to reach retirement. But I do understand that the desire of people when they're looking at what do I need to have for retirement is to figure out what that number is. And then, Scott, what we have done in helping people over the years is we've created a couple of really cool tools and resources that can help answer that for you. So 3 ideas that I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about for our listeners is how to figure out what number you need to know is first and foremost, number 1 is our independent income calculator. So with our independent income system calculator, what we're able to do is we're able to take and put in there the information about what the client's current age is, what their retirement age is. We can put in life expectancy. We'll type in information about what their Social Security is, maybe if you have other sources of income like pensions and Social Security. And then from there, what the calculator does is it will tell us if the amount of replacement income that somebody needs in retirement time is, let's say, $60,000. It'll immediately calculate it. And, as the example that we have here on the screen is in this example, this retiree couple look to retire at age 66 with some Social Security. They need $720,381. So using that calculator, it really kind of gets it, right to the point of what that number is based upon the expectations of, how the buckets are structured within the independent income system. The other thing that I like about the calculator that we created here at our office, and I give Chaz Price, who many of you have heard and listened to before, he's one of the certified financial planners in building out this calculator, is it also kind of gives you some guidance and ideas as far as what money should be allocated to what bucket, like your current income bucket or the reliable income bucket or your long-term or even aggressive growth bucket. So then many retirees or investors can take and they can compare that to how their current investments are allocated and not only know what their numbers are, but know what a proposed allocation could be to be able to get them a little bit closer there. Now, Scott, I know one of the other tools that you oftentimes use, and I also use in our practice, and we talk about, is the technology that we have here. One of the technology features is through Riskalyze is the retirement roadmap. If we look at number 2, the retirement roadmap in Riskalyze, do you want to talk a little bit about what the probability is and how the probability works with Riskalyze?
Yeah, so in essence, this is running thousands and thousands and thousands of different economic and market scenarios against your plan, the investment you have selected, and the income needs that you have. And so basically, we're able to back test. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but we can look at all the things that have happened historically and recreate those scenarios to give us a certain level of confidence that the plan seems successful or not. Now, the goal is not necessarily get to 100% probability of success, because that probably means we're planning for being a little bit too conservative with the plan, so to speak. So there's other things you could do with your money. But if you have something, below 7%, there's probably an opportunity there to take a look and see, are there different levers we need to pull with saving more? Can we reduce taxes? Can we reduce fees and expenses? Can we increase maybe the equity allocation if we need to? So really it's a data point to give us some feedback on what we have, pressure test it, and see what we need to do to increase the probabilities of success.
Yeah, and again, I think, if we go back to the statistic of 25% of people that are close to or in retirement time don't really know their number and aren't confident, if we look at that using this tool that we have available for you, our listeners, and our clients, if we can take the probability of success and put that information in there, and if you're not sure, and unfortunately maybe when you initially run the numbers, if it's a 47% probability of success, as Scott, you talk about pulling the levers and maybe changing different things whether it's adjusting the risk tolerance or monthly withdrawals or retirement year, we can work towards getting that probability of success up as high as possible. Like you said, in gaining confidence, what I like to do is when I'm working with people, when I help them figure out what their number is I like to see, the probability of success to be in the 90% range. Obviously life is going to always throw us what ifs. If we can get that probability up quite a bit. Now, a third step that you, our listeners, can take advantage of, and of course our clients can take advantage of, is doing what is called financial planning and Monte Carlo analysis. The software that we love and recommend for this is called Right Capital. With Right Capital, we input all of the information, or you can input all of your information, and it goes to the retirement tab. Now, it's got a lot of different things within the tab. In fact, I use this software for my family to track my own family's net worth and investment allocations and things like insurance or educational planning for my kids. But today, again, focusing on what is the number that you need to retire, we can quickly go over to the retirement tab, not only get that probability of success, but the other thing that I like about this software is we can go over and we can stress test it. So what we can say is, like, if our probability of success isn't a high confidence level, by going to the stress test, we can then narrow down even further what are the biggest dangers that could possibly blow this up. So, we put together as an example Mr. and Mrs. Awesome, and we stress test their portfolio. And when we look at the things that reduced their probability of success quite a bit, one thing was inflation. Another one was based on the return and sequence of return of what their assets do. Sometimes when I run these numbers, it could be things like a major market drop immediately after retirement. The helpful thing, I think, by looking at these is, if inflation is one of the biggest dangers in our example for Mr. and Mrs. Awesome, now that's something that we know very specifically what to do and how to address that, right? Whether that's putting in inflation-protected type investments that can grow with inflationary hedge strategies. There's a lot of different things that you can do. If, in this example, if the market drop right after retirement was one of the biggest risks, that would give us information so we could then make a smart educated decision about what to do. So really, in conclusion, the tools and resources to help you know your numbers and increase your level of confidence and identify ways to eliminate some of those biggest dangers are all part of what we do for folks, helping them with their retirement income plan. And it all goes back to our unique approach called the independent income system. But, Scott, I know you use these tools a lot too. Anything that you'd like to highlight on some of the different tools and resources that we have?
Yeah, that stress test you talked about is really important, I think, because everybody's plan is different, right? I mean, there were people that retired, the month before Bear Stearns went out of business and the financial recession happened. There's people that retired 2 months before the COVID crash. So, understanding what those economic and life events that it's just a matter of when, not if, but when those happen again, what that's going to do to your plan and how to plan for it, I think that's a huge part of getting that mindset shift into, okay, I can live off of these savings and feel like it's enough money because I know I have a plan. And like you said earlier, and looking at the inflation part, right? If you're living off of all of your savings and you don't have a lot of Social Security, you don't have a pension, that hit on inflation might hit you a lot more. And the problem we run into, a lot of these bad things happen, they normally happen at one time, right? A market drop will happen when there's economic inflation issues, and you're not going to be able to go back and work part-time because the economy is suffering. So when a lot of those bad things happen at one time, you want to know that you got a plan that can see you through the other side.
Yeah, I don't know about you. My family always says it goes in threes.
That's right.
It really does.
That's right.
And then you add like a healthcare crisis on top of it. And again, it's really kind of trying to address all those issues and being able to think ahead. And this is what we do and what we've done for decades. And again, a couple of different things that you can do to take advantage of this. You can learn more about our independent income system. Again, just go on Google and type in independent income system and take a look at our quick 12-minute overview video where we're talking about current threats and opportunities in today's market to help you not only survive, but really thrive in this current environment that we're in. You can also text us. Our text number is 419-909-3828. If you just put the word income in the text subject line, we'll send you back a quick video on the retirement income planning. Or, again, you can register for one of our upcoming events. Scott's going to be teaching that class here locally at Bowling Green State University at Levis Commons. That's Wednesday, January 26th, February 2nd. And then we also have the classes on Thursday, February 3rd and the 10th. Again, you can register online at America's Retirement Headquarters /events. We do have more events coming up, so you always want to keep track of that tab. And we also have events at our satellite locations. I know we have some events coming up in Ann Arbor, too, for our Ann Arbor office. So we'd love to have you join us and love to educate you to make smart financial decisions, especially if you're one of those people listening today and you're in that group of 25% not feeling the financial confidence going into 2022. Let's use some of these tools and resources to help you gain confidence. That way, when you put your head on your pillow at night, you can sleep comfortably and get some good rest, because what I hear is, I don't have any grandkids, but if you have grandkids and you're doing some babysitting, you're going to need that extra sleep to keep you moving.
Like Scott Osborne said earlier, hope, not a great retirement strategy, not a great investment strategy. You want something a little bit more secure, a little bit, more putting pen to paper and actually running the numbers. So these tools, these strategies, right capital, Riskalyze, the independent income system, of course, all great ways to give you a little bit more confidence going forward. The beginning of the year is a time when a lot of people go to the doctor and have their annual checkup, see how it's standing. This is a good time to have a financial checkup as well, see where the hole may be in your financial plan, and better to find out about them now than when you're actually in retirement and they're really exposed, finding ways to work around them. Again, the independent income system, Riskalyze, right capital, all works together, all helps you get a better picture, give you more confidence in retirement. And that's something America's Retirement Headquarters can help you with. All you have to do to get started, give a call, 419-794-3030. It's 419-794-3030, or online, americasretirementheadquarters.com. While you're there, go ahead and check out the events tab to see what is coming on the line, including Scott's classes coming up later this month. That's americasretirementheadquarters.com/events. The Federal Reserve says it's going to soon end its bond buying program designed to help the economy sooner than expected, and it's going to raise interest rates even more this year. Money manager Gilbert Garcia tells CNBC, well, this is actually long overdue.
The concept of a Fed put that backstop, that in and of itself is what the danger is. It's leading to excess risk in the marketplace. It's leading to rates being artificially low. And I think the sooner they rip the Band-Aid off and they let the markets settle where they should, the better off we will be in the long run.
So if the pulling back does, in fact, trigger a market decline, what do people on the verge of retirement, what do they need to do?
Well, for me personally, I'd say when we're looking at our tools and technology and we're stress testing portfolios, one of the great things about our software that we have is we're able to stress test the investment allocations and be able to look at what is the scenario and what is the outcomes that could happen in a portfolio if and when interest rates rise and or the market maybe doesn't perform as good as it is before. So for those of you that are listening, whether you're with us or whether you're not, make sure you're talking with your financial professional and stress testing your plan to see how it would perform in rising interest rates, because there are some specific steps that you could take now to get ahead of it. For example, rising interest rates have historically been a tough spot for bond fund investors, and you've heard us talk about it here in the past as interest rates began to rise a little bit after COVID, bottomed out rates, and we've seen even in last year the impact of that. So it's not too late, and there are things that you can do. We'd love to stress test your plan with rising interest rates and show you some specific steps on what to take. And again, I guess a final thought is when we're talking about bonds, if you haven't got the memo yet, and that's the message, government I-bonds, so these are government I-bonds, current interest rates are still 7.12%, and that's the rate up through April. So if you haven't found out how to maybe add some of those into your portfolio, those are directly from the United States Treasury Department at 7.12%. So good stuff.
Certainly more favorable than a lot of other options out there. The saying goes, it wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. We all know that the market is maybe not necessarily this year, but at some point the market's going to take a downturn. How are we prepared for it? If you don't know, have that stress test run. See, again, where the flaws in your plan as it stands right now may be. If you don't have a plan, well, that is certainly a flaw, and that's something that America's Retirement Headquarters can help with. All you need to get started, give call 419-794-3030. If you're online, go ahead and Google the independent income system. It comes up right there on the top. Check that video out. Or go online to americasretirementheadquarters.com. Always available day and night right there. We appreciate you joining us this week, as we do every week on America's Retirement Headquarters, with Nolan Baker and Scott Kirshner. Scott Osborne this week. Scott, thanks for joining us. Nolan, glad to be with you as always. And guys, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Well, I just saw the numbers came out again, and another huge group of people last month making the decision to start 2022 in the retired category. So welcome all new retirees. And final thoughts would be enjoy your new weekends, which are now going to last 7 days in a row. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.
We're good.
All right.
All right, all right.
That was perfect.